Today's episode of Sales Culture Unfiltered is whew, so good. We have none other than our guest, Tam Smith. But before we introduce her, I'll introduce myself. I'm Dr. Nadia Brown, founder of the Doyen Agency and host of the Sales Culture Unfiltered podcast. And I'm so excited for our conversation today. Tam Smith is a sales growth strategist and founder of Studio 349, where she helps creative entrepreneurs build sales systems rooted in service, not pressure. With a background in luxury retail and media, Tam blends sharp strategy with emotional intelligence to turn relationships into real opportunities. She's also the host of Sales as Service, a podcast for business owners ready to rethink how they sell. Her philosophy is simple: when you serve well, the results follow. And our conversation today will highlight all of that and more. This is an episode you don't want to miss. Tune in. Welcome to Sales Culture Unfiltered, the podcast where we get real about what actually makes or breaks high-performing sales teams. I'm your host, Dr. Nadia Y. Brown, a sales culture and communication architect, and I work with sales leaders to engineer high-impact teams that hit their numbers without burning out or breaking down. On this show, we dive into unfiltered conversations with sales leaders, industry experts, and high-performing teams about what it really takes to drive revenue, retain talent, and build a winning sales culture. If you're tired of surface-level advice and want the strategies, challenges, and hard-won wins that actually matter, you're in the right place. Let's get into it. Welcome to another episode of Sales Culture Unfiltered, and I am so excited for our guest today, Tam Smith. Welcome, Tam.
I'm so excited to be here.
Oh my
I love
goodness.
seeing you, and I love our conversations.
I do too.
Yeah,
So now everyone gets to eavesdrop on what we've been talking about all these days
I know.
over the past several weeks, or has it been months? Like it's been a while since we've met.
Uh-huh,
So yes.
uh-huh.
So just, I wanted to kind of start just by getting to know you a little
Yeah.
bit better. So my first question is, you've lived several professional lives,
Mhm.
from broadcast, TV, and ad creative to makeup artistry, and now sales leadership. Like
Yeah.
I thought my background was varied, like yours is juicy too. So when you look back, what was the moment you realized that all of these experiences were shaping you for how you lead and sell today?
I think, honestly, I spent I'll rewind a little bit, go back to, I thought I wanted to be coming out of college, go into some end of television and film, and ended up, in broadcast production. And, my resume, kind of looks like I bounced around a lot, have a thread of doing something for a couple of years, getting in, learning everything I could, and then, kind of either burning out or getting bored and moving on to the next
Mhm.
thing. Yeah.
I
Um,
resemble that remark.
so broadcast led to kind of turn that into doing the same thing, but on the, agency side for lack of a long explanation, I say advertising, but it was really experiential marketing,
Nice. Okay.
um, in creative. And then that I you get frustrated on projects. We'd all sit around talking about what we wanted to do. If we were just going to leave and drop everything and go do our, and the joke. Some folks were like, "I'm just going to go, buy groceries," which there's nothing wrong, absolutely nothing wrong with that. Or mine was, I'm going to go, be a makeup artist and travel the world and live out of a suitcase. And so, cosmetic retail was what was supposed to be, the paycheck until I launched, that my freelance career, and it gave me enough of freedom and flexibility of schedule to that was really my first step at entrepreneurship, because I did
Hmm.
have a side business of doing free events, weddings, events, did a little bit of production, enough of it to realize that as much as I envisioned myself as being that travel the world living out of a suitcase, I realized I liked it's hard to when you're bouncing around so much, it was hard to build into relationships.
Yeah.
And I also liked knowing, where my paycheck was going to come from,
Hmm.
to a certain degree, and when that it was going to come, and when it
Yes.
was going to show up.
That part
Yeah.
is actually going to
Um,
show up.
yeah. But I guilted myself a lot for the, almost, I think I was in retail cosmetic sales that ended up, I had no idea what big business that was until I got
Hmm.
into it. And particularly in Dallas, Texas,
Yes,
or
yes.
in luxury retail for Neiman Marcus. I was there from, I believe, '01 until 2011.
Hmm.
And that was my first client facing sales role. It was the first time I had been, I had the, kind of business experience, working in brand building, business development, marketing up to that point. But it was the first time I had kind of come out from behind the curtain and was
Hmm.
client facing. And still, I have to shout out to Trish McAvoy. That was one of the brands I worked for, and Neiman Marcus and that counter in particular was some of the best sale, the fundamentals of sales.
Love it.
As far as the KPIs and I mean it was run maybe cosmetics, but it was they were serious about lipstick. And
Lipstick
I
is
mean
big business.
yeah, I mean, at that time, like that department alone was doing upwards of, $27 million. And every
Wow.
single counter in there was, anywhere from, 300, 500,000 all the way up to, if I'm remembering correctly, 3+ million.
Hmm.
So it was big business and, it was run, like a sales organization. And we had, KPIs and it was really those daily micro actions of how you find, connect, start conversation, build relationship,
Yeah.
identify opportunity and then retain that and, nurture that client, for, long-term engagement, all learn there.
Hmm.
But that ended up moved into my formal, I guess, sales leadership role in corporate. And the moment, long answer to your question, I'm trying to think of the moment to reflect back on. It was somewhere within that first year of launching a business. My
Yeah.
business I launched, I would love to believe that it would not have taken a global pandemic and a family health crisis for me to launch a business. But it was kind of the situation I was in 2020, and
Hmm.
somewhere within that first year, when I had an opportunity to pause and exhale for a minute, which was not often, to kind of look back on like, oh, you don't understand this things when you're in it at the time.
Hmm.
I mean, I think honestly, it was probably when I was reflect because the disruption for me really started the end of 2019.
Yeah.
And the company I was working for at the time, I had my kind of conscious uncoupling, if you will, from corporate.
Hmm.
And, then I didn't understand it at the time. It was devastating, at the time.
Yeah.
And when everything escalated with COVID and my, father's poor health, and I launched a business, and I look back on that, you don't understand what's happening to you sometimes in the moment, but then when you look back,
Hmm.
you realize, oh. And now starting, I feel like everything was leading to
Everything.
I could not have started a business without all of those experiences.
Yep.
Because at any given point in my career, like my business card has said everything from, admin all the way up to, I was the director of residential sales when I left corporate I feel very fortunate to have worked in cultures where it was definitely that servant leader. It
Hmm.
wasn't, that's not my job. It's like we're
Yeah.
all rowing together. I feel very fortunate for the leaders I work for. It was not a top down environment. It was very
Hmm.
much like we're all in this together. We all support each other and we're all trying to go the same direction. So I think very, very long answer to that question.
I loved it though. It was
I,
so good. I'm trying to think of where I want to. You had so many good things that I'm like, well, where do I want to go next? Um, let's talk about the fact that there's been a lot of transformation in your
yeah,
life.
yeah,
I know we've
yeah.
been talking about a brief snippet of your life, but there's been a theme, and transformation is
Hmm.
probably one of those themes.
Hmm.
When you think about the work that you're doing, how do you help clients embrace transformation in their own sales culture, especially when growth requires us changing habits?
Mm-hmm. That's such a good question. Um, what I thought I was going to be doing, for perspective, when I started the business, I started actually the business as a virtual assistant.
Okay.
With my own background, being sales, marketing, business development, all the work I was getting, particularly in that first year, or two with COVID, was digital marketing. Businesses that either didn't have or hadn't paid attention to their online presence were coming to me, to help support them in that. So, and then about a year ago, total transparency, fast track to burnout, probably looked
Mm-hmm.
great from the outside in, but I had said yes to everything I could do, but it wasn't really what I wanted to be doing. Um,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I feel very fortunate the business was at a place where I had the opportunity to ask myself that question,
Yeah.
um, and build a business based on what, I love to do, and that's create opportunity and support people in creating that opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what I thought I was going to be doing when I pivoted the business from digital marketing to focus on sales and business development to what it has turned into, I will never call myself a coach. Like I don't have any kind of certification. Like I will never claim to be a coach. But
Same.
so much of the work I do, because I work most often with female founders, it's the mindset work. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it's just the and I want to say, like, I'm great at doing that for everybody else. I still need coaching. I still
Mm-hmm.
need help, because I mean, the all of it is coming, any coaching, I'm using quotes here, that is coming just from my own learned experience, from my
Yeah.
own struggle.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's the really just being the supporter and encourager, that it doesn't mean you're doing something wrong or something's broken.
Right.
It's just, we think we have to have it all figured out first
Mm-hmm.
before we take that first step.
Yep.
And I think it's the reworking that, the process, that the you don't have to have it figured out. Like, it reveals itself when you take that first aligned action. And it's okay to, it's a process, the understanding that it is a process.
Yes.
Because I feel like it's really just helping folks get out of their own way.
Mm-hmm. It really is.
Yeah.
And like you said, sometimes we need help in getting out of
Yeah.
our own way, right? Like we
Yeah.
come from that place that we have it all figured out.
Yeah.
And there are definitely experiences that help us to
Mhm.
be able to lend that expertise to others
Mhm.
as they're kind of going through their own
Mhm.
process.
Mhm. So I think it's to answer your question, it's really just giving the businesses that work permission uh,
Mm-hmm.
to embrace the process and to make
Yes.
some mistakes.
Yes.
And yeah, we've got systems and strategies and tactics and all those things to support that. But before you put something out there into the world, we're making our best educated guess at
Mm-hmm.
what we think will work. But it's through, it's testing, it's experimentation, and you define ultimately, and it's a constant, like, evolution and iteration. I mean,
It
it doesn't
really
mean that
is.
something's broken or not, if you have to do that. It's just,
Right.
it's part of it.
Right. Exactly. It's part of the process.
Yeah. Yeah.
One of the things that you've been able to do in your career
Yeah.
is lead teams that consistently hit double-digit growth.
Mhm.
In this process, what did you learn about building a culture where that kind of performance was sustainable and not just sprint driven?
Yeah. Oh, I'm laughing because it's like I'm going through this in my own business right now.
Right.
And it's really, surrounding yourself, with great talent. I feel fortunate. I've always been surrounded by, really, really good people.
Hmm.
But I think as leaders, empowering that talent, like, give them the space to do
Yeah.
what you brought them on your team to do.
Hmm.
I mean, I am admitted a type A performance driven perfectionist.
Guilty.
And it was frankly much easier for me to do in a corporate environment when I was doing it for someone else and representing
Hmm.
someone else's brand. I felt like, frankly, I was just a cheerleader to some degree. Like, a lot of times we can see more in what people's capability and potential and opportunity than they can see in themselves, and
True.
really believing in folks before they could believe in themselves, and
Mm-hmm.
empowering them, getting them excited about a goal, and then empowering them, to make their, highest contribution towards that goal.
Yes.
That I don't think I did anything other than just be able to tease out the best in the people around me and empower them to do that. And I feel like I'm still doing that for the clients I'm serving. Like
Yes.
I've said to folks, I don't feel like there's no silver bullet, other than just helping folk. Like again, I need it for myself, but the folks I'm working with, helping folks get out of their own way and
Yes.
see that there's so much more potential than they've even seen for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then again, and empowering the teams to have ownership in that, and the people that they're working with to have a part in that. And as founders and leaders, everyone's not going to do it just like you, and that's okay.
Right. Right.
And you just got like I will use a prime example. Like I'm going to use the example. This happened just this week. So I have a client, I'm in kind of in that transition period in my business where, I'm no longer the chief doer,
Mm-hmm.
where I've got team underneath me that's supporting me in that transition.
Congratulations. That's a
Thank
huge
you.
transition.
And it is hard, or at least I have found it very hard. And it's not because I don't want to let go, but it's
Right.
all I know is being the like employee, if you will, versus
Mm-hmm.
being the visionary leader for a brand and business,
Yes.
and struggling with my own, I guess, discomfort, for lack of a better word, of feeling like I'm goofing off if
Mm-hmm.
I'm not, deep in the weeds of client delivery.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm in that right now. Like I feel very fortunate. I've got a great team supporting me, but really empowering them, and creating new process for them to be able to do their best work. And I have a client that we are managing their like inbound outbound sales process. But right now there's
Mm-hmm.
such a high volume of inbound inquiry coming in, and there was no process to manage that. Putting in
Mm-hmm.
the structure around that to manage that. So this is like just real tangible, practical shared inbox that someone on my team is, helping me manage. And we've got a system in there that, yes, there's still some things that are very high touch that only I can do.
Right.
But they're being assigned to me, versus
Mm-hmm.
me going in
Mm-hmm.
there, making the assignments. And it takes everything in me when I get in there not to redo what's already been done, and just put the blinders on and be responsible for only those, high touch, escalation type
Mm-hmm.
things that only I can do, instead of thinking I have to do top to bottom, rework everything that's already been done.
Yeah. No, I think that this is so good because I think that it's a challenge, but I think it's a
Uh-huh.
challenge even as a business owner, like you said, a
Uh-huh.
founder kind of shifting from that doer to visionary leader role.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's also a challenge in a larger organization when you go from team member to leadership because the
Mm-hmm.
roles change and how you show up
Mm-hmm.
changes. And like you said, you don't
Mm-hmm.
always get to jump in and fix things. Like you have to then learn how to accomplish goals through other
Mm-hmm.
people. And that's something that
Mm-hmm.
you've been able to do very well, even though you're like, oh my God, I don't know how I'm doing this, right? So I think that, just giving yourself that grace, but
Yeah.
also talking through that process because you've been able to do it. And like you said, being able to get other people on board, get them inspired, really help
Yes.
them, even borrowing your faith, if you will, because
Yeah.
they may not see it yet and what you see in them. Like
Yeah.
that's not something that all leaders are able to do or comes naturally to them.
Well, thank you. I'm going to receive that and say thank you. uh, some of that too, I have to remind myself it's just remaining outward focus. I think it's easy to get caught up in how I'm being perceived, what someone thinks, how I'm going to perform, when the best thing I can do for clients and the teams I'm serving is just be available to listen.
Mm,
really, that's, I mean, if that's probably the thing I have to be continue to remind myself about is, when I find myself getting like, all kind of wound up or frantic about something, at the end of the day, it's not about me and how I perform. It's about
Yeah.
the client and the team member. And it's amazing the shift when you're just available to listen. And it doesn't
Yes.
always mean you need to fix anything.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
I think that's another, like, rather that I've had to not jump to try to solve I can offer solutions, but just
Mm-hmm.
empowering folks to, again, could I, you're only cutting yourself off as far as long-term growth if you get in there, and sure, it's easier for you to do it and just handle it in the moment, but for the long-term sustainability and success of your organization, being able to empower your teams to be their own solution.
Yeah.
um
And kind of put up the guardrails, but give
yeah,
them that space. And it is from
yeah,
like, I tell my leaders, sit on your hands.
yes, mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
On your hands.
mm-hmm, yep, yep. And to, like, I kind of practice that. I would rather ask for, this may be kind of ask for forgiveness versus permission. I
That's
think
Nadia.
well, I have been I've been micromanaged, in my
No,
career, to the point that, and it's
it is the
very
worst.
suffocating. Yeah. And I've had to tell my teams, like, I recognize my own shortcoming is, sometimes I probably, maybe it's like that, run the lead too long, where I'm so
Hmm.
hyper aware that I don't want to, I don't want someone to feel that. And I don't want to, I want to create, a culture where folks are excited to show up and do their best work and they don't feel stifled. But I probably, have done that to, maybe to an extreme sometimes. But I would rather someone be proactive to take an action and make a mistake. That's probably a
Yes.
better turn of phrase
Hmm.
than do nothing and wait for me to tell them what to do.
Right.
Like, I
Right.
mean, yeah, sure. There has been the conversation and the prep and the training and the, setting people up to be successful. But at the end of the day, I don't want someone to be afraid to take an action,
Yes.
for fear of that, when it's done with the organization and the client's best interest in mind.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think that is key to, building those thriving cultures, right?
Hmm.
Like this, again, the guardrails, like making
Right.
decisions within these parameters.
Right.
And if it goes sideways, we'll fix it. But I agree. I
Right.
would 1,000% rather you take the risk than
Yeah.
wait for me to come tell you what to do.
Yeah.
So thinking about organizations
Yeah.
and the work that you do, when you step into an organization that maybe has plateaued,
Hmm.
what's usually the deeper cultural issue beneath the surface, and how do you help them realign?
Mm. Deeper cultural. Typically, what I have seen is they have, again, it's they have said yes to everything. They're
Mm,
trying to be all things to all people.
that's so
Um,
good. Yes.
More often than not, we've cast such a wide net, and we want to be everything to everybody, and we think if we get, focused or narrow, or more narrow or niche, that we're going to somehow miss on
Right.
something. And I think
Hmm.
there's a lot of, you can, that works for a while,
Hmm.
but until it doesn't. And I
Right.
think that's really what I see a lot of.
Yes.
In, most of the organizations that I work with to this point, it's kind of one or two trigger points. They have built a very successful business based on referral
Hmm.
alone, which is
Hmm.
wonderful. It's proof
Hmm.
of concept, proof there's demand for what you do,
Right.
but it's not predictable. It's not scalable. If that is what you're trying to do. And,
Hmm.
one of two things, they've either had a big contract, move off for whatever reason, or they are at that place where we're trying to grow and scale. And they don't have a clear definition of who they are, who they serve, and, I mean, really, there's a lot of things they could be doing, but kind of that core offer, if you will, or that core service,
Yes.
they don't have a clear vision of that. So that's really where the work begins. And,
Hmm.
I mean, there's, I had a recent, it was a post or email where I was talking about, you will spend, I mean, any successful sales process, I believe, the bulk of your time is going to be spent in that upfront investigation of, audience offer, who are you here to help and serve? What problem, either what problem are you solving, or what, value or way you're able to elevate in an organ from whether it's a problem or you're just helping them get to that next level and enhance,
Right.
what they're already doing. It's going to
Hmm.
start with that investment of doing that upfront strategy work, which, is not that's not the fun part.
It's not all, yeah. How do you get, speaking of, because you're
Yeah.
right, sometimes, especially you go into organizations and things are going on, or you're working with founders,
Yeah.
and sometimes we just want to do the sexy stuff or the fun stuff to us, but it's not
Yeah.
always what's needed,
Right.
right? Like, how do you help them reconcile their bigger vision
Mhm.
with the work that you do in terms of helping to put in the systems and the processes? Like, how do you almost like help them focus?
This is the biggest challenge because we're all looking for the silver bullet
Mm.
and the overnight, it's the, we want, 6 plus 7 figures yesterday.
Yep.
And it is most organizations I see do not have, I mean, like enterprise level organization, there's a reason there are dedicated, individuals, teams that are focused on just sales and business development. And that's all
Hmm.
they do all day long.
Yep.
And even within that, I realized even within my own corporate experience, yes, I was a full cycle seller, but the bulk of for the brand I represented, it was a lot of now what I would probably categorize as account management or relationship management
Hmm.
versus in organizations, even within the sales organization, it's
Right.
designated inbound, outbound, and even within like that category, you've got multiple roles just serving that one client profile or the one part of the sales cycle. And
Yep.
so with the businesses I'm working with, typically it's going to be, kind of startup, early, mid-size that it's typically the founder or, small team
Hmm.
that is wearing multiple hats, doing multiple things outside of sales and business development, but it is really building in, customizing a scalable, repeatable practice that just becomes a daily discipline.
Yes.
Um, I it's the not fun. I mean, it is there's it is most of them just don't. The problem is there's just no discipline, and that's all. It's just a practice and a discipline that compounds over
Hmm.
time. And have to kind of take stock of what's realistically manageable for that business and organization, but building in a repeatable practice that where they could
Yes.
get some momentum because at the kind of the point they engage with me, it has been inconsistent at best, more often non-existent. And it's been, well, I posted, you know,
Okay.
I posted once last week.
Not helpful.
Well, yeah. So, and a lot of it is just kind of the education on the practice. Because again, they have built typically, been referral driven, referral dependent. And
Hmm.
that is wonderful, but it short circuits a large part of the actual sales process.
Yes.
So educating when you're talking about, proactively going out to create new business opportunity, that it is a process, it is a practice, it is a discipline, and then building those just the small repeatable steps.
Yeah.
It's like diet and exercise. I hate to say it.
But it's true.
It's true.
It is very true.
Yeah. I wish, I mean, when I have the formula for where you can hit the button and just have, 6 figure or whatever contract showing up in your inbox every day, I will, you'll be the first to know. But in the meantime, it's just a daily practice.
Daily practice is one step
Yeah.
at a time, one step
Yep.
at a time.
Yep.
When you think about your legacy as a
Mhm.
sales leader and entrepreneur, what impact do you hope you've made on the people who've worked with you?
I'm gonna try not to get emotional.
I know it's one of those
Yeah.
gut punch questions. Sorry.
Yeah. It really is. I think a lot about that. In I, have hit a certain age. And I think a lot about that, now, and the motivation behind this is, it kind of comes from so much of my probably, own personal struggle in my own, my own business development.
Mm-hmm.
And, in those kind of early, I mean, whether it was my entrepreneur career or just corporate career, is, not having the confidence to ask for what I want. Um,
Mm-hmm.
waiting to get asked, waiting
Yes.
to get chosen, waiting for someone else to decide that I was deserving and good enough.
Yeah.
And I really want to empower female founders in particular,
Yeah.
that, to be their own best client,
Mm-hmm.
and to have the confidence to ask for the opportunity that they want,
Yep.
and that they are capable of so much more, and that they're allowed to want what they want. I remember the moment, and I'll just like share a personal story. I want to say it was like year, maybe 2022, I think was my first year. I had gone to, I'm a member of No Women, which is a networking organization for female founders and business owners. And they do a summit uh, once a year. Typically it's one in
Okay.
Phoenix. And this was coming out of COVID. It was my first like in real life event as a business owner. And I went to this event, and being in the room, like I had set my, kind of bar, high.
Mm-hmm.
But I walked into that room, and it was the first time I'd been in a room with, I mean, it was, founders and business owners at every level, from startup all the way to, multi-million dollar exits.
Yeah.
And the energy in that room was, like we all just like want to see each other succeed. Like it was
Yes.
very supportive and encouraging. And
A
I walked out
beautiful
of there and I
thing.
realized I had set the bar too low. I had set it according to what I thought I could have
Mm-hmm.
versus what I really desired, for myself and for my teams and for my clients. And I was, giving myself permission that, like, I'm allowed to want that. I'm
Yes.
allowed to ask for that. I'm
Mm-hmm.
allowed to have that. So I
Mm-hmm.
really just want to offer that encouragement, to, the clients that I'm serving, will serve, and frankly, anybody listening to this.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, permission.
Permission. I
Yeah,
love it. I
yeah, and give
love
it to
that.
yourself. Yeah,
Yes, yes.
yeah,
Oh my gosh. So we have to talk about this really quickly.
yeah,
You started racing motorcycles and mountain biking after 40. So not only is that just next level everything, definitely next level courage, like, but how do you bring that same sense of adventure into your business and leadership?
yeah. Uh, I feel it comes down, any goal. I mean, that getting my motorcycle racing license is probably one of my because I admit, like, I am the like last person. Like, I am not a natural athlete. That is not
Hmm.
something that is not. I was fortunate, just at the time where I was living. You have, again, having that expander, for around you, someone that was doing it, that was
Right.
able to say, it's kind of show me the first right step, to that. And
Hmm.
it wasn't, racing, it was just getting a license. And it was something I'd always been
Wow.
curious about. Um, but we set these, okay, so that's using that as a metaphor and example. Whatever your goal is, okay, it's your first, 6-figure quarter, or it's your first, first year you're going for double digit, revenue, whatever your, big, hairy, audacious goal is.
Hmm.
If you look at the end result, that feels impossible, absolutely impossible. But when I break down, like, yeah, you look at me racing motorcycles after 40, that, like, I say that out loud and I'm like, that, okay, that, yeah, I realize that's, but practically speaking, it was one step at a time. Like,
Yeah.
it was okay. And it wasn't racing. Like, the goal wasn't racing. It was, I have a friend that rides motorcycles, and have always been curious in alternative sports. That sounds interesting. I'm just going to sign up for, to take my motorcycle, safety course because I was in Texas at the time, and you had to have that before you could get your license. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to see if I'm even interested in this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. So it was, Saturday morning in a closed parking lot in a bowling alley in Austin, Texas, and we're literally going, maybe riding circles, going not I mean maybe like not even a mile an hour. And I'm like, this is amazing.
Baby steps.
That's literally like that was the first step.
I love
And
it.
and then one thing after that. So it's kind of become a great, example of I say that to people and it's all, I don't I mean, if you were to meet me and like that's not the first thing I don't think you would think if you met me was that I
No,
did,
I was
yeah,
like, she does what?
I know. But it's been a great to like kind of use it as an example. Like it was
Yes.
just that, okay, I, curiosity, whatever it is, like what is the first small, like practical action you can take to investigate if that's even like, do you even
Mm-hmm.
want this?
Yeah.
And then what's the next step after that? And the next
Mm-hmm.
step after that. And then the next thing yeah, you're racing motorcycles after 40.
I love it. I love it. That is so good. And you're right. It's similar in business
Yeah.
and leadership. What's the first step? You just
Yeah.
take that first step.
Yeah. Just take that first step and allow like it's gonna be uncomfortable. You're not gonna know what you're doing.
Hmm.
And that's okay. Like no one expects you to. And we were talking before we started recording. That's the advice I would give to my younger self is just let
Yes.
yourself be bad at something more often.
Hmm. Hmm. I saw a
Yeah.
video recently on Instagram, and the woman talked about those A-type
Yeah.
personality, right? Perfectionist. And she said, there are certain seasons where you need to lower the bar
Hmm.
and just give
Hmm.
yourself permission to not feel
Yes.
like you always have to show up. And because
Hmm.
it's similar, like if I'm new to something, I'm not going to be the best at it. Like that's
Hmm.
just natural. And when you
Hmm.
think back to like when kiddos are born and they first learn to walk, like no one in their right mind expect them to just get up and start walking and running. Like it's a
Hmm.
process, and we cheer it, we celebrate it.
Yeah.
And then at some point along the way, we stop.
Yeah.
And now we have this pressure, and then we
Hmm.
have to learn similarly to do that with our teams. And like you said,
Hmm.
and allowing them to come in and make mistakes and to not berate them for it.
Yeah.
But, like we were talking before we started recording, even around celebrating the
Yeah.
mistakes, right? Like that's something that we're planning to do in our house to do more of. We've done it a little bit, but I think to
Yeah.
just make it almost be obnoxious about
Hmm.
it.
Yeah.
Like, hey, we have a mistake to celebrate.
Yeah.
And I think the same way it is with our kiddos and them being able to see their parents make mistakes and how we deal with it is the same
Hmm.
for our teams.
Hmm.
And that we as leaders don't always get it right, but we don't always talk about when we mess it
Yeah.
up, right? And so I think
Yeah.
that there is that level of vulnerability
Hmm.
and transparency where we do share, okay, here's what happened. Let's talk
Yeah.
about it. What
Yeah.
would you have done? And let's learn
Hmm.
from each other. So yeah, I love
Hmm.
that. And
Hmm.
just that reminder of baby steps. And now here you
Yeah.
are.
Yeah.
Riding
Yeah.
motorcycles.
It's, I'm surprised myself, believe me. Yeah.
I think we do surprise ourselves at what we
Yeah.
can accomplish when we give ourselves permission
Yeah.
to just
Yeah.
go with the flow and
Yeah.
deal with fall off, get back up, and let's try it
Hmm.
again.
Hmm. And it's not a one and done. It's not a
No.
one and done mastered thing. I have to be intentional and make it, kind of a daily practice and reminder.
Yeah.
And I'm not always the best at it. But it's I know, the intention is there and, to just give myself that space. I have recommitted to that in my life. And my newest, I have decided rock climbing was kind of the gateway into all of
Oh,
this for me. So I've gotten
okay.
back into that this summer, and I have decided that I want to get my single pitch instructor certification. Really, because it is a kind of another passport. Just I know how much it's done for me. Just
Mm-hmm.
as a woman that has struggled with confidence, self-belief, self-worth, and I know how much it's done, for that for me, and to have that to be able to help more women and girls if they're interested in it, be able to get outside and
Yep.
have that experience. But it's kind of the same thing. It's coming like I've got a certain number of there's a whole resume of climbs I have to have before I can even take the coursework to do that, and
Yep.
it's just one small step at a time. Yeah.
I love it. I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah.
I love it. All right. So as we bring things to a close, I'm trying to think of
Yeah.
what is my closing question. So if there's someone listening to us that feels like they're in a version of themselves that, or a version of success, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
That no longer fits where they are
Hmm.
and where they want to be,
Yeah.
what's a question or a thing that you may either have them ask or do
Hmm.
to help them start that process of transformation?
It's going to kind of sound counterintuitive, but the give yourself some space and be still and just don't
Mhm.
run away from it, like
Mhm.
investigate it. Get curious about it.
Yes.
My instinct, it's always has been to I feel like I have to do something, have to take, immediately take some kind of action
Yes.
against.
This a problem
Yeah.
that must be solved right now.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think I've maybe, reacted versus responding.
Yeah.
And I don't know, is I have felt bad for feeling bad,
Hmm.
like
Hmm.
there, like
I
that's,
understand that statement.
yeah. Like, it's okay, right, acknowledge where you are, be grateful, where you are. And then that it's okay to, for that not to be the goal or the dream anymore. And, just, but to sit with it and explore it and just get curious.
Hmm.
And, yeah, that's really the best. Don't run from it.
I love it. I
Yeah.
love it. Where can our listeners connect with you and learn more?
Definitely. I spend a lot of time on LinkedIn, so you can find me on LinkedIn. And it's Tamara B. Smith is believe my profile on LinkedIn. I should know that better. But LinkedIn definitely. Also have a podcast, which I'm very excited for you to be a guest on, Sales as
Yay.
Service. And then my website, studio349.com. I have to give a shout out. That's my Everybody asks like, what's the story behind that? That's my dad's birth year and month, and he was my kind of OG entrepreneur. So that in recognition of him and all the good lessons he taught me. But yeah, I really look forward to connecting with your listeners and just really appreciate so much the opportunity to get on here. And these conversations are always a masterclass. With I learn as much as I hope that there's some good insight in here for someone
Yes.
listening. So thank you for
Thank
the
you.
opportunity.
Yes.
Yeah,
I will make sure all the links are in the show notes.
awesome,
So if we
awesome.
misspoke, you'll have
Awesome.
it in writing. So
Awesome.
thank you so much for joining
Thank
us
you.
today, Tam. And thank you
Thank you.
all for joining us for another episode of Sales Culture Unfiltered. We'll see you again soon. Bye-bye. That's a wrap on today's episode of Sales Culture Unfiltered. But the conversation doesn't end here. If something sparked your interest today, connect with me on LinkedIn or visit our website at thedoyenagency.com to explore how we're helping sales teams build cultures that last. And if you found this episode valuable, don't keep it to yourself. Hit subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a fellow sales leader. See you next time.